In the fiery heart of the Pacific, ancient legends spoke of the Anzu Kainos, the sky flame, not just a bird, but a spirit of the mountain, a guardian born of its fire, its feathers shimmering with the light of the earth's core. For centuries, it was only a myth, a whisper among the island tribes. Asterisk until Dr. Elena.
Oh, wow.
A biologist who chased myths with the rigor of science, turned that folklore into fact. After nearly a decade of tireless searching, she followed a faint thermal anomaly.
Oh my goodness!
To its source. There, she made the discovery of a lifetime. The Pyralis aquila, the fire eagle. Its feathers weren't just colored. Their unique cellular structure produced a faint, biological glow. It was a miracle of evolution, a species so rare, its only sanctuary was the treacherous slopes of the supervolcano, Mount Kainan. Her life's work was realized, a creature of legend, now known to the world. Asterisk, but as Elena celebrated this new life, the very cradle that nurtured it was becoming a tomb. Miles away, at the Kainan Volcano Observatory, Dr. Eris Thorne saw the signs. The world couldn't. The mountain's heartbeat, the deep magmatic resonance, was quickening. Its breath, the sulfurous gases seeping from the caldera's vents, was turning toxic. A critical sensor, their only eye on the upper slope, had just gone silent. Mount Kainan was waking from its slumber. One scientist's greatest discovery was about to become another's apocalyptic prediction. Asterisk Eris's urgent warning triggered a global emergency. At the highest levels of the Global Conservation Agency, the debate was fierce. The data was undeniable, but the risks were deemed astronomical. General Maddox initially refused, declaring any manned mission a suicide run. But Dr. Petrova's passionate, desperate plea, a plea for the last 3 living members of a unique species, tipped the scales. The mission was greenlit, a desperate gamble against extinction. They needed a pilot who specialized in the impossible. Enter Jax, a legend in the world of remote piloting, a veteran of disaster zones from Amazonian dam collapses to Arctic ice shelf rescues. He was a maverick, known for flying machines through the eye of the needle in a hurricane. He was their only shot. The 3 experts convened, a tense alliance forged by the apocalypse. The scientist who knew the mountain's fury, the biologist who knew its children, and the pilot who had to navigate the hellscape between them. They had less than 24 hours to plan. Their primary tool, the Hermes V, a state-of-the-art drone with a heat-shielded chassis and a direct neural interface, allowing Jax to fly it not as a machine, but as an extension of his own body. As they walked up the ramp of the transport plane, the weight of a species' survival rested entirely on their shoulders. Asterisk Eris's urgent warning triggered a global emergency. At the highest levels of the Global Conservation Agency, the debate was fierce. The data was undeniable, but the risks were deemed astronomical. General Maddox initially refused, declaring any manned mission a suicide run. But Dr. Petrova's passionate, desperate plea, a plea for the last 3 living members of a unique species, tipped the scales. The mission was greenlit, a desperate gamble against extinction. They needed a pilot who specialized in the impossible. Enter Jax, a legend in the world of remote piloting, a veteran of disaster zones from Amazonian dam collapses to Arctic ice shelf rescues. He was a maverick, known for flying machines through the eye of the needle in a hurricane. He was their only shot. The 3 experts convened, a tense alliance forged by the apocalypse. The scientist who knew the mountain's fury, the biologist who knew its children, and the pilot who had to navigate the hellscape between them. They had less than 24 hours to plan. Their primary tool, the Hermes V, a state-of-the-art drone with a heat-shielded chassis and a direct neural interface, allowing Jax to fly it not as a machine, but as an extension of his own body. As they walked up the ramp of the transport plane, the weight of a species' survival rested entirely on their shoulders. Asterisk Infiltration began where the sky itself had become an enemy. released from the belly of the transport, the team's helicopter, a rugged machine flown by veteran pilots, plunged into a choking brown haze of ash and pulverized rock. Inside the rattling cockpit, visibility dropped to near zero. Navigating by instruments and Jax's uncanny, almost preternatural instinct for airflow, they pierced the veil of ash, witnessing the terrifying majesty of a world in its death throes. But the mountain, a living, breathing entity, had already rewritten their plans. The primary landing zone, a stable plateau just hours before, was now a fractured, steaming ruin, ripped apart by a fresh fissure. With time bleeding away with every passing second, a risky, narrow outcrop was their only option. A precarious landing, with the helicopter's rotors spinning just feet from the cliff edge, marked their first, hard-won victory against the dying mountain. On the ground, every step was a battle. The mountain, alive and violent, fought them with deep, bone-jarring tremors that shook the very rock beneath their feet. They pushed forward across a treacherous landscape of razor-sharp volcanic glass, a beautiful but deadly carpet of black obsidian. Each obstacle, like the ancient, fraying rope bridge dangling over a sulfurous chasm, was a fresh test of their resolve, a drain on their precious few hours, pushing their endurance to the absolute limit. Reaching the forward command point, their lifeline was deployed, the Hermes V, a drone built for the inferno. It became an extension of Jax's own will, soaring into an environment no human could survive. Its camera feed became their only eyes on the prize. But the mountain's defenses were not just geological. The parent eagle, a creature of fire and fury, larger and more powerful than any known bird of prey, defended its young with primal ferocity. It was a battle of instinct versus technology, using a non-lethal sonic deterrent, a low-frequency pulse designed to disorient the eagle's sensitive hearing without causing harm. Jax created a window of opportunity. He then performed a remote surgical retrieval. The drone's arm, a marvel of engineering, moved with the delicacy of a surgeon's hand. With the first two chicks secured, a flicker of hope. But Mount Kainan was not done with them yet. The hardest part of the mission was still to come. With 2 lives secured, there was no time for relief. Every second was critical. The drone was immediately relaunched, a lone crusader against a dying world. But the mountain's fury was intensifying, its poison seeping into the air. The second nest was shrouded in a veil of sulfur dioxide, a corrosive gas that would blind the drone's sensors. Switching to thermal vision, Jax was now flying completely blind, navigating a 3-dimensional maze of superheated rock, guided only by a single, fragile flicker of heat. The last chick, then, the big one hit. A violent, magnitude 5.5 tremor that reshaped the battlefield. The cliff face fractured, sending the nest on a slow slide towards oblivion.
All right, keep an eye on the perimeter. We need to maintain a safe distance.
In a move of sheer, desperate brilliance, a maneuver not found in any training manual, Jax pinned the falling ledge with the drone's main claw, sacrificing its primary tool to buy them precious seconds. It became a surgeon's task on a dying patient, a race against failing motors and crumbling rock, using a delicate secondary arm to attempt the impossible. Just as victory seemed possible, the strain became too much. The drone's main motor sparked and failed. The ledge lurched, a heart-stopping moment of near catastrophe. But in that final, desperate second, the last chick was snatched from the jaws of the abyss, rescued just as its world crumbled away. A fleeting moment of triumph, immediately annihilated by a deafening roar. The heart of the mountain finally tore open. The main eruption had begun, and a wall of unstoppable force, a wave of pure pressure, was now racing towards them all. Asterisk the shockwave hit them with the force of a physical blow. On the ground, the team was thrown, their position battered by a hurricane of displaced air. In the sky, the Hermes drone tumbled, its system screaming, its camera feed a blur of static and cracked lenses. With impossible skill, Jax fought the controls, wrestling the battered machine back from the brink. But as they recovered, a new horror became clear. The eruption had obliterated their only escape route. A river of lava now separated them from their extraction point. They were trapped, stranded between a river of fire and the wrath of the sky. All seemed lost. The helicopter was powerless to reach them. But in the face of annihilation, ingenuity prevailed. It was a desperate, insane gamble born of Jax's quick thinking, using the damaged drone to fly a single, high-tensile rescue line across the chasm, creating a zip line to salvation. One by one, they made the terrifying journey across the inferno. Their faithful machine, the Hermes V, performed one final, heroic act before returning to the fire from which it was named, a silent monument to the mission's success. Months later, far from the ashes of Mount Kainan, a new sanctuary thrives. The three survivors, the sole heirs to a legendary lineage, represent a promise fulfilled. Their survival is a landmark in scientific history, a living library of unique genetics. The Kainan III, as the world now called them, had not just saved a species. They had ignited a global movement, creating the Skyflame Fund to protect the world's most vulnerable creatures in its most violent places. Their story became a legend of its own, a testament to the fact that even in the darkest of times, courage can forge a legacy that lives on forever. ***.